Admiral Stephen Parker stood on the bridge of the New Horizon and watched the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. On the main screen, a blue and green world grew larger by the hour. After 2 years of traveling through empty space, they had finally reached their new home. "Detailed scans are coming in," reported Science Officer Dr. Susan Blake, her voice shaking with excitement. "Oxygen, nitrogen atmosphere. Perfect for human life. Gravity is 90% of Earth normal. Vast oceans, large continents, and the weather systems look stable." Stephen felt tears in his eyes. The journey that had seemed impossible was nearly over. Around him, his bridge crew stared at the screen with wonder and relief. "What about the ruins?" Stephen asked. Dr. Marcus Thompson, who had spent 2 years studying everything they could learn about their destination, looked up from his computer with amazement. "Admiral, it is better than we hoped. The previous civilization built everything we need. Cities ready for inhabitants. Fusion power plants that still work. Manufacturing centers with technology we can understand and use." Captain Jennifer Hall's voice came from her scout ship, which was already in orbit around the new world. "Admiral, I am looking at what appears to be a spaceport designed exactly for our ships. The landing pads are the right size, the fuel systems are compatible, and there are even what look like passenger terminals." Stephen shook his head in wonder. "It is like they built this place for us." Colonel Kevin Wright reported from the military ships. "No signs of current inhabitants, no defense systems, no weapons pointed at us. If anyone lives here now, they are not showing themselves." The landing process took 3 days. The scout ships went first, testing the atmosphere and checking for dangers. Then the small cargo ships, carrying equipment needed to set up the first camps. Finally, the great colony ships began their descent to the surface. Stephen watched from orbit as the first humans set foot on their new world. The cameras showed people stepping out of landing craft onto alien soil, breathing alien air, looking up at an alien sun. Many of them fell to their knees and kissed the ground. Dr. Susan Blake was among the first scientists to land. Her report made everyone in the fleet smile. "The air is clean and fresh, the gravity feels comfortable. And Admiral, there are flowers here. Beautiful alien flowers in colors we have never seen. The ecosystem is healthy and thriving." Engineer First Class Daniel Torres led the teams that began exploring the alien cities. What they found was amazing. "The buildings are in perfect condition," Daniel reported. "The previous inhabitants took care of everything before they left. Power systems work, water systems work. Even the computers are still functional, though we will need time to learn how to use them." But the most incredible discovery came from Dr. Marcus Thompson when he entered what appeared to be a central computer facility in the main city. "Admiral, you need to see this," Marcus said over the communication link. His voice was full of awe and confusion. Stephen took a shuttle down to the surface and walked through streets that felt familiar despite being completely alien. The architecture was different from anything on Earth, but it felt comfortable, like it had been designed for beings similar to humans. In the computer facility, Marcus showed him a message displayed on a wall-sized screen. The writing was in DI symbols no human had ever seen, but somehow Stephen could understand it. "Welcome, humans of Earth," the message said. "We have been waiting for you." Stephen stared at the words. How is this possible? Marcus pointed to other screens around the room. "There are hundreds of messages here. They knew we were coming. They knew when we would arrive. They built this place for us." Over the following days, more messages were discovered. The previous inhabitants called themselves the Architects. They had lived on 12 worlds scattered across this region of space. But they were not gone. They had simply moved on to a higher form of existence. "We built these worlds for those who would come after us," one message explained. "We watched the galaxy and saw a young species that would one day need a new home. A species that helps others, that fights for what is right, that never gives up. We built this for you, humans of Earth." The colonization happened faster than anyone had expected. The alien infrastructure worked perfectly for human needs. Cities that had been empty for thousands of years filled with the sounds of human voices and human laughter. Farmer Bill Thompson planted the first Earth crops in alien soil, and watched them grow strong and healthy. "The soil here is even better than Earth soil," he reported with amazement. Children like Peter Wilson ran through alien streets and played in alien parks, treating the new world like the adventure it was. They quickly adapted to the slightly lighter gravity, jumping higher and running faster than they ever could on Earth. Dr. Rachel Green set up medical facilities in buildings that seemed designed exactly for treating human patients. "It is like they studied us before we even knew we would come here," she told Stephen. 6 months after landing, Stephen received a message that made him smile wider than he had in years. It came through secret communication channels from Ambassador Lisa Carter, still serving in the galaxy they had left behind. "The galaxy has been watching your success," Lisa's message said. 3 more species have been voted into exile for the same reasons you were. They have asked for the coordinates to your worlds. The Altarians are calling what you accomplished the human miracle. Even some council members are beginning to question whether they made the right choice. Stephen recorded his reply carefully. "Tell our friends they are welcome here. Tell the galaxy that exile was the best thing that ever happened to us. We have found something here they never offered. Us true freedom." Standing on a hill outside the main human settlement, Stephen looked out at a city that buzzed with activity. 17 million humans were building a new civilization on a world that seemed designed just for them. Children played in parks while their parents worked in laboratories and workshops. Gardens bloomed with both earth plants and beautiful alien flowers. In the distance, he could see other settlements taking shape on other continents. Humanity was spreading across their new world, growing and thriving like never before. The Galactic Council had voted to exile Earth because they said humans were too dangerous, too willing to help others, too ready to fight for what was right. They had been correct about everything, and that had turned out to be humanity's greatest strength. Admiral Stephen Parker smiled as he watched human children chase alien butterflies through gardens that bloomed under an alien sun. The exile was over. The real adventure had just begun. Somewhere, in the ruins of the ancient city, computers still displayed the architect's final message. "Build well, humans of Earth. The universe has been waiting for you, and humanity was ready to answer that call." The galaxy had one rule that everyone knew: never hurt human children. It was not written down anywhere. No one needed to write it down. Every species in the galaxy knew this rule like they knew how to breathe. Commander Jake Morrison walked through the halls of Harmony Point Station. The station was huge, bigger than most cities. It floated in space between 3 star systems. Ships from 47 different species came here every day. They came to trade, to talk, and to solve problems without fighting. Jake stopped at a big window that looked out into space. He could see ships of all shapes and colors. Some were long and thin like needles. Others were round like balls. A few looked like giant flowers made of metal. Each ship belonged to a different alien race. His daughter Katie ran up to him. She was 8 years old with bright blue eyes and long brown hair. She wore the blue uniform of the station school. In her hand she held a drawing of a strange purple creature with 6 arms. "Dad, look what I drew today," Katie said. "This is my friend Zix. He is from the planet Korath. He has 6 arms because his people need to climb tall crystal trees." Jake smiled and took the drawing. "This is very good, sweetheart. Did Zix teach you about his planet?" "Yes, and I taught him about Earth horses. He thinks horses are funny because they only have 4 legs. Katie laughed. "Tomorrow we are having a big party at school. All the kids are going to show things from their home planets." Jake nodded. This was normal life on Harmony Point. Human children played with alien children. They learned about different worlds and different ways of living. It was peaceful. It was safe. But Jake knew why it was safe. He knew the history that most people tried to forget. 300 years ago, humans first met other intelligent life in the galaxy. At first, everything went well. Humans were new and small compared to the big alien empires. They tried to be friendly. They shared their technology. They opened their worlds to trade. Then came the Kepler Station incident. Kepler Station was a human colony on the edge of space. It was small and peaceful. Mostly families lived there. They grew food and mined crystals from the nearby moons. One day, alien raiders attacked the station. The raiders belonged to a species called the Vorthak. They wanted the crystals. The human adults tried to fight back, but the Vorthak were stronger. In the battle, 17 human children died. The youngest was only 3 years old. Her name was Emma. The oldest was 15. His name was Alex. When news of the deaths reached Earth, something changed in humanity. The peaceful traders became something else, something terrible. Jake had read the old reports. Human fleets appeared everywhere in the galaxy. They moved faster than anyone thought possible. They hit Vorthak ships, planets, and bases all at the same time. The attacks were perfect. The attacks were brutal. The Vorthak Empire had ruled 50 star systems. They had millions of ships and billions of soldiers. In 1 year they were gone, not just defeated. Gone. Their planets were empty. Their ships were space dust. The few survivors lived in hiding, afraid to say their real names. But humans did not stop with the Vorthak. 2 other species had helped with the raid on Kepler Station. The Kreks had sold the raiders information about the station. The Ninth had provided ships. Both species learned what happened when humans got angry about their children. The Kreks' homeworld became a ball of glass. The Neath were hunted across the galaxy until only a few thousand remained. They lived now on one small moon, under human protection as a reminder to others. After the war, humans went back to being peaceful traders. But everyone remembered. Everyone knew that humans were different when their children were in danger. Ambassador Lisa Carter walked up to Jake. She was tall and thin with gray hair. She had been the human representative to the galaxy for 20 years. She knew every species and their customs. "Good morning, Jake," Lisa said. "How is Katie doing in school?" "She loves it here," Jake replied. "She has friends from 12 different planets. Yesterday she learned to count in Zephyrian." Lisa smiled, but Jake saw worry in her eyes. "The Zephyrians have been making noise lately," she said quietly. "Their new military leaders think the galaxy has become too soft. They say humans have too much power." Jake looked at his daughter's drawing again. "Do they know the history?" "Some do. But many of their young officers were born after the Great Peace began. They have never seen humans at war. They think our reputation is just stories." This worried Jake. The Zephyrians were proud warriors. They came from harsh worlds where only the strong survived. Their military was large and well-trained. If they decided to test human resolve, things could get very bad very fast. "What does Earth Command say?" Jake asked. Lisa was quiet for a moment. "They say the same thing they always say. The first law stands. Anyone who breaks it will face the consequences." Jake knew what those consequences were. Hidden throughout the galaxy were human ships that looked like cargo vessels or research stations, but they were not what they seemed. They were warships more powerful than anything the galaxy had seen in 300 years. They waited in the dark spaces between stars, ready to move at a moment's notice. Most aliens thought humans had only a few dozen military ships. The truth was different. Humans had thousands of warships. They just kept them hidden. The galaxy was peaceful because humans wanted it to be peaceful. But that peace depended on one simple rule. Katie tugged on Jake's uniform. "Dad, can you come to the party tomorrow? All the kids want their parents to see the show." Jake picked up his daughter and held her close. She smelled like the flowers from the station garden. She was warm and alive and innocent. She had no idea that her safety was bought with the fear of an entire galaxy. "Of course I will be there, sweetheart. I would not miss it for anything." Lisa watched them with sad eyes. She had no children of her own, but she understood. Every human child was precious. Every human child was protected by the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever known. And every alien species knew that harming even one human child would bring down a wrath that could destroy worlds. The first law was simple. It was absolute, and it had kept the peace for 3 centuries. But Jake wondered how long that peace would last. Young Zephyrian officers who had never seen human anger might think they could break the rule without consequences. They might think humans had grown soft, If they tried, they would learn why every wise species in the galaxy made sure their children knew one simple truth. Human children are not to be touched. Ever. General Vexistar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Spear. Through the main viewing window, he could see Harmony Point Station growing larger. The massive structure looked like a metal flower floating in space. Ships of many species moved around it like insects around a bright light. Vextar was tall even for a Zephyrian. His blue-green skin was covered in the ritual scars of a warrior. His forearms moved with practiced grace as he studied reports on his datapad. Each arm was as strong as a human's leg. His people had evolved on a world where gravity was 3 times stronger than Earth's. "General," said Commander Krelth, approaching with careful steps. "The diplomatic shuttle is ready. The humans expect us within the hour." Vextar looked at his younger officer. Krelth was different from the older Zephyrian warriors. He had been born after the Great Peace began. He had never fought in real wars. He had only heard stories about the old days when the Zephyrians conquered 12 star systems. "Tell me, Krelth," Vextar said slowly. "What do you know about human military power?" Krelth straightened his shoulders. "Sir, human military forces are small, maybe 50 ships total. They rely on fear and old stories to keep other species in line. Our intelligence says they have not fought a real war in 300 years. Their soldiers are soft from too much peace." Vextar was quiet for a long moment. He remembered his grandfather's stories about the Vorthak War. His grandfather had been young then, serving on a Zephyrian observation ship. He had watched from far away as human fleets destroyed entire worlds in days. He had seen planets turned to glass and moons cracked in half by human weapons. But Vextar had never told these stories to the younger warriors. He thought it would make them weak. Now he wondered if that had been a mistake. "The humans want us to reduce our fleet size again," Vextar said. "They say we have too many ships near their trade routes. They want us to move our military bases further from human colonies." "This proves my point, sir," Krelth said with heat in his voice. "They are afraid of us. If they were as strong as the old stories say, they would not need to ask. They would just take what they want." Other young officers nodded in agreement. They had grown up believing the Zephyrians were the strongest military force in the galaxy. They had trained all their lives to be warriors, but they had never fought anyone who could fight back. Vextar looked out at Harmony Point again. He could see small ships moving between the station and the nearby planet. Some of those ships carried children to and from school. Human children played with alien children every day, safe and protected. The sight should have made him happy. The galaxy was at peace, trade was good. People lived without fear. But it also made him angry. His people were warriors. They were meant to fight and conquer. Instead, they traded goods and followed human rules. They had become merchants instead of soldiers. Their great military existed only for parades and ceremonies. "Sir," said another officer, Captain Yexdal, "perhaps it is time to show the humans that we are not afraid of them. A demonstration of Zephyrian strength might make them more reasonable in these negotiations." Vextar turned to look at the younger captain. "What kind of demonstration?" "Nothing. Too serious," Yexdal said quickly. "Maybe take some hostages during the talks. Prove that their reputation does not scare us. When they see we are serious, they will negotiate better terms." "And if they do not?" Vextar asked. Krelth stepped forward. "Then we show them what Zephyrian warriors can really do. We have been holding back for too long, General. Our people begin to think we are weak. The other species whisper that we hide behind human protection like children." Vextar thought about this. It was true that other species sometimes made jokes about Zephyrian pride. They said the fierce warriors had become lapdogs for humans. Young Zephyrians were starting to question their leaders. They wanted to prove their strength. But Vexitar also remembered his grandfather's warnings. "Never make humans angry about their children," the old warrior had said. "That is how species disappear from the galaxy." "What about their children?" Vextar asked. "The humans have many young ones on Harmony Point." Krelth smiled coldly. "That is exactly why this will work, sir. Humans care too much about their children. They will do anything to keep them safe." If we threaten the children, the humans will give us whatever we want. And if we actually harm the children? We will not need to, Krelth said confidently. The threat will be enough. Humans are soft. They value individual lives more than their empire. They will surrender rather than risk their precious children. Vextar felt something cold in his stomach. This plan felt wrong. His warrior instincts told him that threatening human children was like waking a sleeping dragon. But his younger officers were all nodding in agreement. They believed this was the right path. General, said Captain Yexdal, tomorrow is the cultural festival at the station school. All the children will be in one place, human children and alien children together. If we acted then, we could take many hostages with one quick move. The humans would be forced to negotiate, added Krelth. They could not risk an attack that might hurt their children. We could demand they withdraw from our space. We could force them to treat us as equals instead of subjects. Vextar closed his eyes. Part of him knew this was a terrible mistake, but he was old, and his officers were young and eager. They had been planning this for months. If he said no, they might act without him. At least if he led them, he could try to control the situation. If we do this, Vextar said slowly, no one gets hurt. We take hostages, make our demands, and let everyone go safely when the humans agree to our terms. Of course, General, Krelth said. We are warriors, not monsters. We just need to show the humans that we are serious. Vextar looked out at Harmony Point one more time. Somewhere on that station, human children were getting ready for their cultural festival. They were excited to show their friends things from their home world. They had no idea that tomorrow their innocence would end. The old general made his choice. He would trust his young officers. He would trust that humans had become as soft as everyone said. He would trust that 300 years of peace had made them forget how to fight. He would learn how wrong he was. On Harmony Point, Jake Morrison helped his daughter Katie practice her presentation about Earth animals. She had chosen to talk about dolphins because she thought alien children would find them interesting. They are really smart, Dad, Katie said, looking at pictures on her tablet. They can learn tricks and play games. Some scientists think they have their own language. Jake smiled and hugged his daughter. Tomorrow would be a happy day. Children from dozens of species would share their cultures and learn from each other. It was everything the Great Peace was meant to create. Neither Jake nor Vextar knew that. Tomorrow would change everything. The first law of the galaxy was about to be tested, and the galaxy would remember why that law existed in the first place. The cultural festival began at 10 in the morning, station time. The main school hall was decorated with flags and pictures from 47 different worlds. Children wore traditional clothes from their home planets. The air smelled like strange foods and familiar flowers. Katie Morrison stood with her group of human children. They all wore white shirts with pictures of Earth animals. Katie held her tablet, ready to show everyone about dolphins. Next to her, her friend Ben talked excitedly about the tigers he would present. In the front row, alien children sat with their parents and teachers. Zix, the purple six-armed boy from Korath, waved at Katie with 3 of his hands. His parents had crystal growths on their heads that sparkled in the light. Commander Jake Morrison stood with other human parents along the back wall. He felt proud watching his daughter. This was what peace looked like. Children learning from each other, species working together. Ambassador Lisa Carter sat with the other diplomatic representatives. She noticed the Zephyrian delegation in the wee corner. General Vextar looked uncomfortable, but his younger officers seemed relaxed. Too relaxed, she thought. The festival began with welcome songs in 12 different languages. Then the presentation started. A small green child from Vega Prime showed everyone how his people grew food in floating gardens. Twin sisters from the ice world of Kethmar demonstrated their people's crystal singing. Katie's turn came after the break. She walked to the front of the room and connected her tablet to the big display screen. Pictures of dolphins appeared, showing them jumping and playing in Earth's oceans. Dolphins are mammals from my home planet, Katie said in her clear young voice. They live in water but breathe air like us. They are very smart and friendly. Scientists think they talk to each other with special clicking sounds. The alien children watched with wide eyes. Many had never seen creatures that lived in water, but were not fish. Questions came from all around the room. "Do they have hands?" asked a young Karathian. "Can they fly like the water birds on my world?" asked a child from Nexus 7. Katie answered each question with patience and joy. Her father watched with pride. This was his little girl, teaching the galaxy about Earth's wonderful creatures. Then everything changed. The main doors to the hall burst open. Zephyrian soldiers in full combat armor rushed in. Their weapons were already drawn. The 4 armed warriors moved with deadly speed and precision. Parents screamed. Children cried. Teachers tried to protect their students, but the Zephyrians were too fast and too strong. "Nobody move," shouted Commander Krelth. His voice was amplified by his helmet speakers. "This is now under Zephyrian military control." Jake Morrison stepped forward, but 2 soldiers pointed their weapons at him. "Stay back, human," one of them growled. "Move and everyone dies." More Zephyrian soldiers poured into the room. They herded all the adults against one wall. The children were pushed into the center of the room, surrounded by armed warriors. Katie looked around in terror. This was not supposed to happen. This was their safe place. This was where children played and learned together. Her hands shook as she held her tablet with the dolphin pictures. General Vexitar entered last. He looked around the room at the frightened faces. Part of him wanted to stop this madness, but it was too late now. His officers had committed them all to this path. "People of Harmony Point," Vexitar announced. "The Zephyrian Empire is tired of following human rules. We are warriors, not merchants. Today we take back our dignity." Ambassador Carter stepped forward carefully. "General, this is a mistake. These are children. Innocent children from many worlds, including your own allies." Krelth laughed coldly. "That is exactly why this will work, human. Your people value these small lives too much. You will do anything to protect them." Jake Morrison's hands clenched into fists. He could see Katie in the crowd of children. Her blue eyes were wide with fear, but she was trying to be brave. She still held her tablet about dolphins. "What do you want?" Jake asked, his voice tight with control. "Simple demands," Vexitar replied. "Humans will withdraw from our space. You will stop telling us how many ships we can build. You will treat us as equals, not subjects." "And if we refuse?" asked Ambassador Carter. Krelth pointed his weapon at a group of human children. "Then these children will learn what happens when their parents choose pride over their safety." The words echoed in the suddenly quiet room. Every adult felt ice in their blood. Every species represented there knew the stories. Nobody threatened human children. Nobody. But somewhere in space, sensors and listening devices had already detected what happened. Emergency signals flashed across the galaxy at faster than light speeds. Hidden monitoring stations picked up the broadcasts. Secret human bases received the news. Admiral Susan Blake was reviewing supply reports on the hidden base called Shadow's Edge when the alert came through. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes. She had served in the human fleet for 40 years, rising through ranks during the long peace. But Susan Blake was not a creature of peace. She was one of the few officers who remembered the old ways. She had trained under veterans of the Vorthak War. She knew what humans could do when their children were in danger. "Ma'am," said Captain Ryan Davis, bursting into her office. "Priority. Alpha alert from Harmony Point. Human children have been taken hostage by Zephyrian forces." Susan Blake stood up slowly. Her calm eyes became cold as winter space. "Confirm that report, Captain." "Confirmed, Admiral. 24 human children, plus alien children from allied species. The Zephyrians are making demands." Susan Blake walked to her wall display. With a few touches, she brought up a map of the galaxy. Red dots appeared, showing the location of every human military vessel. There were thousands of them, far more than any alien species suspected. "Signal Protocol 7 to all fleet commanders," she said quietly. "Begin Phase 1 deployment immediately." Captain Davis felt a chill run down his spine. Protocol 7 had not been used in 3 centuries. It was the code for total war against any species that harmed human children. "Admiral," he said carefully, "shouldn't we wait to see if negotiations can resolve this?" Susan Blake looked at him with eyes like black ice. "Captain, the moment those Zephyrians pointed weapons at human children, they declared war on our entire species. They just don't know it yet." Across the galaxy, hidden human bases came to life. Ships that had been disguised as cargo vessels or research stations revealed their true nature. Weapons systems that had been sleeping for centuries powered up. Military personnel who had lived quiet lives as traders and diplomats reported for combat duty. The most powerful military force the galaxy had ever known was waking up. And it was very, very angry. On Harmony Point, Katie Morrison sat with the other children. She was scared, but she tried to remember what her father always told her. Be brave, be smart, and help others when you can. She looked around at her friends, human children, alien children, all of them afraid. Some were crying, others sat in shocked silence, but they were all together. Katie made a choice. She activated her tablet and quietly started the dolphin presentation. Again. On the small screen, the beautiful creatures jumped and played in blue earth oceans. Some of the younger children saw and moved closer. "Dolphins help each other," Katie whispered. "When one is in trouble, the whole family comes to help." She did not know it, but her words were more true than she could imagine. The human family was coming, all of it. 6 hours after the children were taken, the galaxy began to change. Captain Ben Richards stood on the bridge of his ship, the Vengeance. For 20 years, the ship had pretended to be a deep space research vessel. Its hull was painted white with scientific markings. Its crew wore civilian clothes and studied star formations. But that was over now. The white paint fell away like old skin, revealing black armor underneath. Hidden weapon ports opened along the hull. The ship's true shape emerged, long, deadly, and beautiful in the way that predators are beautiful. "All stations report ready, Captain," said his first officer, Lieutenant Jane Murphy. "Weapons online, stealth systems active, crew at battle stations." Ben looked at the tactical display. Hundreds of red dots were moving through space toward Harmony Point. Each dot was a human warship revealing its true nature. Ships that had been hidden for centuries were coming into the light. "Signal from Admiral Blake, sir," reported the communications officer. "All ships are to maintain blackout conditions until we reach the target system. No alien ship is to escape the area." Ben nodded. The Zephyrians had made a terrible mistake. They thought they understood humans. They thought 300 years of peace had made humanity soft and weak. They were about to learn the truth. Humans had not become peaceful because they were weak. They had become peaceful because they chose to be peaceful. And that choice was conditional. On Harmony Point, the situation was getting worse. Commander Krelth had grown impatient with the slow human response. He wanted to show everyone that Zephyrians were serious about their demands. 3 adult hostages were brought to the center of the school hall. 2 were alien diplomats. The third was a human teacher named Mary Collins. She taught mathematics to children from a dozen different species. "The humans have had 6 hours, Krelth announced. "Still no response to our demands. Perhaps they need more motivation." General Vextar felt sick in his stomach. This was not what they had planned. They were supposed to take hostages and make demands. The humans were supposed to negotiate. No one was supposed to get hurt. "Commander," Vextar said quietly, "perhaps we should wait longer. Humans may be preparing their response." Krelth turned to his general with angry eyes. "Sir, with respect, waiting makes us look weak. These soft species only understand strength. We must show them we are serious." Jake Morrison watched in horror from the wall where the adults were held. His daughter Katie sat with the other children just 20 meters away. She was trying to comfort a small alien child who was crying for his mother. "Please," Jake said to General Vexitar, "these are innocent people, children. This is not how warriors behave." Vexitar looked at the human commander. There was pain in the old Zephyrian's eyes. I know, he said softly. But it is too late to stop now. Krelth raised his weapon and pointed it at Mary Collins. Humans of Harmony Point, he announced loudly. Your people have not responded to our demands. This teacher will die in 60 seconds unless we receive word that Earth agrees to our terms. The children screamed. Katie Morrison jumped to her, feet still holding her tablet. Stop, she yelled with all the force her 8-year-old lungs could produce. She is a good person. She helps everyone learn. Krelth looked at the small human child with cold amusement. Sit down, little human. Your tears will not save anyone today. But Katie did not sit down. Instead, she did something that no one expected. She activated her tablet's communication system and started broadcasting. My name is Katie Morrison, she said into the device. I am 8 years old. Bad people have trapped us at school. They want to hurt my teacher. Please help us. The signal went out on all frequencies. It reached every ship and station in the system. It reached the hidden human fleet moving through space toward them. It reached Earth itself, 47 light years away. Admiral Susan Blake heard the little girl's voice on the bridge of her flagship, the Retribution. The ship was the most powerful vessel humans had ever built. Its weapons could crack planets. Its shields could stop the energy of a small star. But none of that mattered as much as the scared voice of one small human child asking for help. All ships, Susan Blake said into her communicator. Priority override. We are no longer maintaining stealth approach. All vessels, maximum speed to Harmony Point. Launch fighters, prepare for combat. The human fleet dropped out of stealth mode. Suddenly, alien sensors across 3 star systems detected massive energy signatures. Ships that had been invisible moments before blazed like small suns as their engines pushed them to impossible speeds. On Harmony Point, Krelth heard the countdown in his helmet. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. He began to squeeze the trigger of his weapon. Then every light on the station went out. Emergency power kicked in a moment later, bathing everything in red light. But in those few seconds of darkness, something had changed. The adults who had been pressed against the wall were gone. Jake Morrison, Ambassador Carter, and 6 other humans had vanished like ghosts. What is happening? Vextar demanded. His communications officer pressed his helmet speakers. Sir, we have lost contact with our ships in orbit. Something is jamming all signals. Through the station windows, new lights appeared in space. Ships were arriving, but they were not Zephyrian ships. They were black as empty space and shaped like predators. They moved with deadly purpose toward the station. Colonel Ryan Davis materialized in the school hall like magic. He wore advanced stealth armor that bent light around him. Behind him came 12 human Special Forces soldiers, each one a master of close combat. The Zephyrians raised their weapons, but the humans were faster. Stun grenades filled the air with blinding light and deafening sound. When the chaos cleared, half the Zephyrian soldiers were unconscious on the floor. All children, get down and stay down, Ryan commanded in a calm voice. We are here to take you home. The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes. The Zephyrian soldiers were brave and well-trained, but they had never faced humans who were serious about protecting their young. It was like watching house cats fight tigers. Katie Morrison ran to her father when the shooting stopped. Jake picked her up and held her tight, feeling her warm, alive weight against his chest. I knew you would come, Daddy, she whispered. I told everyone that humans help each other, just like dolphins. General Vexitar sat on the floor, his weapons taken away, his soldiers defeated or unconscious around him. He looked up at Colonel Davis with the eyes of someone who finally understood how badly he had miscalculated. We never meant to hurt the children, he said quietly. Ryan Davis looked down at the old warrior with no mercy in his eyes. But you did hurt them, General. You scared them. You made them cry. You threatened them with death. It was not supposed to happen this way, Vextar said. It happened exactly this way, Ryan replied. And now your entire species will pay the price. Through the station windows, more human ships arrived every minute. The sky filled with black. Vessels carrying weapons that had not been used in 3 centuries. The galaxy's most peaceful species was revealing its true face, and that face was terrible to behold. Ambassador Carter stood with Admiral Blake as they watched the Zephyrian home fleet try to escape the human blockade. The alien ships were fast, but the human vessels were faster. One by one, they were captured or destroyed. "Admiral," Carter said softly, "some of the Zephyrian ships are trying to surrender." Susan Blake watched another alien ship explode in silent light. "They should have thought about surrender before they threatened human children, Ambassador." The first law of the galaxy had been broken. Now the galaxy would remember why that law existed. It would remember for a very long time.